Today, we uncover the shocking truth about UK crisps. Now, we all know that crisps aren't the most healthy food out there, and I'm certainly not here to tell you that they're supposed to be. But what crisps were meant to be was a simple, satisfying, savoury snack, made from real ingredients, proper potatoes, proper oil, enjoyed by millions every single day. That unmistakable crunch, the punch of flavour, the way just one crisp would zap your taste buds. It all made crisps a true British favourite, something deeply ingrained into our culture. But somewhere along the way, things changed. Open a packet of crisps today, and what you taste, what you feel, is nothing like the vivid memories of eating crisps from your childhood. The intensity is gone. The richness is gone. That proper, satisfying hit, gone. So what happened? Because it's not like potatoes disappeared. It's not like we suddenly forgot how to make crisps. The packets still look the same. The branding still feels familiar. Everything on the outside tells you it's the same product you've always known. But it isn't. And every time you decide to give them another go, that truth becomes painfully clear. The satisfaction just isn't there anymore. And the strange part is, it didn't happen overnight. There was no announcement, no warning, no moment where everything suddenly changed. It just slowly shifted, bit by bit, until what you're eating today barely resembles what it used to be. The packet colours you've trusted your whole life deliberately reversed to confuse an entire nation. The recipe you grew up loving changed without a single word of warning on the bag. The British brands that built crisp culture from nothing, systematically destroyed by corporations who bought them, gutted them, and now sell you the memory. And here's the part that'll really make your blood boil. Walk into any supermarket and count the crisp brands on the shelf. Dozens of them, right? Different names, different colours, different personalities. But almost every single one has ended up being owned by just two massive corporations. One American, one German. They now control over half of everything in your crisp aisle, and they've spent the last 30 years quietly degrading their products to maximise profit while you pay more for less. They've swapped oils and hoped you wouldn't notice the taste change. They've slashed salt by 47% without a word. They've shrunk monsters that were supposed to be the biggest snack pennies can buy. And the most insulting part, they think you're too distracted to realise what they've done. But here's the thing. You already knew something was off, didn't you? You've opened a packet and thought, this doesn't taste the same anymore. You've counted the crisps in one hand and wondered, when on earth did it become legal to sell a bag of air as food? You've picked up your old favourite and felt disappointed without being able to explain why. You weren't imagining it. They actually did ruin it. And today, I'm giving you the proof. So we've gone through the major brands currently sold in UK supermarkets and we'll expose the 9 crisp products you absolutely need to avoid. Then I'll tell you the 3 that are actually still worth buying. But before we dive in, if you care about this, if you're tired of being lied to by massive food corporations who think you won't notice, do me a favour, hit that hype button. Because every single time you do that, it pushes this video to more people who deserve to know what's really in their shopping basket. It tells YouTube that people actually care about holding these companies accountable, and the more of us who know the truth, the harder it becomes for them to keep getting away with it. You're not just liking a video, you're helping spread information that these corporations would rather you never saw. So hype it up and let's get into it. Number 9. Walkers. We're starting with the big one because Walkers isn't just a crisp brand, it's the single biggest crisp manufacturer in the UK. The third biggest grocery brand in the entire country, £480 million in annual sales, 11 million bags produced every single day from their Leicester factory. When you think British crisps, you think Walkers. Except here's the problem. Walkers isn't British anymore. It hasn't been since 1989, when PepsiCo, the American beverage and snack giant, bought the company and turned it into a profit extraction machine. And ever since, they've been slowly, quietly, systematically degrading the product while hoping you wouldn't notice. Let me show you exactly what they've done. First, the oil. In 2022, the war in Ukraine caused a sunflower oil shortage. Walkers quietly switched to a rapeseed and sunflower blend. No announcement, no sticker on the packet, no email to customers. They just changed it and carried on. And almost immediately, Trustpilot exploded with complaints. People saying the crisps now taste like fish oil, strange oily twang, hard, not crispy. One person even reported that every packet now acts as a laxative. Another noticed by actually reading the ingredients and wrote, "They used to be just potatoes, oil and salt. They now contain antioxidants and tocopherol-rich extracts." Nobody told them. They had to figure it out themselves by comparing old packets to new ones. Then there's the salt. In 2025, Walkers slashed the salt content by 47% across salt and vinegar, prawn cocktail, smoky bacon, roast chicken, barbecue, and pickled onion. No announcement on the front of the pack. Why? Not for your health. To comply with HFSS advertising regulations so they could keep buying TV ad slots and getting prime shelf placement in supermarkets. A food scientist quoted in the UK press explained it perfectly. Salt doesn't just taste salty. It acts as a chemical amplifier for all the volatile aromatic compounds. When you remove the sodium, the onion powder suddenly whispers instead of shouting. It breathes through a pillow. That's why your salt and vinegar crisps don't taste like anything anymore. They didn't make them healthier, they made them quieter. Well, no one is buying crisps to chase their fitness goals. But if there's nothing to enjoy in eating them, then what little purpose do they have left? But here's the scandal that really gets me. Ready salted. The simplest crisp on earth. 3 ingredients: potato, oil, salt. That's it. That's the entire promise. Except look at a Walker's Ready Salted packet today. Potatoes, vegetable oils in varying proportions, salt, antioxidants including rosemary extract, ascorbic acid, tocopherol-rich extract, and citric acid in varying proportions. That means whichever oil was cheapest the day they filled the fryer, you're not getting a consistent product. You're getting whatever the commodity market decided that morning. And someone actually started a change.org petition about this. Adding flavoring agents, acidifiers, and antioxidants to ready salted crisps is simply unacceptable. If they can't even leave the simplest crisp alone, what hope is there? Then there's roast chicken. Walkers changed the recipe with zero notice on the packaging. Multiple customers independently discovered it from different shops on different weeks. The new recipe is disgusting. Sweet, fake tasting, and nothing like the original roast chicken. Customers deserve to be told when recipes change. Another person said it now tastes of beef, not chicken. Beef. Did Walkers put a sticker on the bag? Did they send an email? Did they even acknowledge it? No. And don't even get me started on Worcester sauce. Walkers discontinued it in 2023, one of the UK's most beloved flavours. No warning, fans were furious. Petitions launched. And Walkers' response, they brought it back as a marketing stunt where a giant crisp packet floated down the River Severn in Worcester, and it was only sold at one corner shop in the entire country. They literally turned their own act of corporate cruelty into a feel-good advert. The fans who were heartbroken got repackaged as brand content. And of course, shrinkflation. Multi-packs went from 24 bags to 22 to 20, price up 8% simultaneously. Single bags now contain so few crisps, it's become a meme. Customers on Trustpilot writing, opened a packet of prawn cocktail crisps, and there was about 10 crisps. Each bag is less than half filled. 13 individual crisps in a bag. They inflate the bags with air. The front of every Walker's packet says 100% quality ingredients and fresh taste guaranteed. Walker's is the 3rd biggest grocery brand in all of Britain. And customers are writing, there is next to no flavour. The cheaper version from Asda is better. The Golden Wonder are also much better. The biggest crisp brand in UK history. And people are switching to supermarket own brand because it actually tastes like something. But here's the final insult. The colour scheme, Walker's cheese and onion, is blue. Salt and vinegar is green. Every other brand in the UK does it the correct way round. Green for cheese and onion, blue for salt and vinegar. That's the Golden Wonder scheme. That's the colour convention an entire generation grew up with. Walkers reversed it when PepsiCo took over, forced the nation to relearn which colour is which, and now pretend they were always right. They literally gaslit an entire country into thinking the colours were always backwards. When someone asked them about it online, Walkers denied they'd ever changed anything. The audacity is almost impressive. Walkers. The worst thing to happen to crisps in the UK. Number 8. Pringles. Let me start with the single most damning fact about Pringles. The company that makes them literally stood in front of a British judge and argued their own product should not be classified as a crisp. So what are you actually eating? Not sliced potato, a dough, a paste slurry of dehydrated potato flakes, wheat starch, rice flour, and corn flour. Mixed, rolled flat, cut into ovals, pressed into a mold, fried. They're closer to a biscuit than a crisp. The FDA in America refused to let them call themselves potato chips and forced them to say potato crisps made from dried potatoes instead. The name was so embarrassing, Pringles dropped chips entirely. A crisp that can't legally call itself a crisp in either country it's sold. It's a fabricated snack, and here's the twist. Pringles is now owned by Mars, the same company that makes Snickers and M&Ms. The most engineered, least potato product in the crisp aisle is now owned by a confectionery giant. Mars completed the acquisition of Kellanova, Pringles' parent company, in December 2025, a £22 billion deal. The product is literally a candy company asset now. Make of that what you will. But it gets worse. The recipe's changed, and the company denies it. A viral TikTok video got 1.9 million views, showing a man holding a Pringle, saying this is completely different. It's got bumps on it. They used to be smooth. A food investigator confirmed rice powder added more cornstarch potato to filler ratio shifted. When someone asked Pringles on Twitter if the recipe changed, the company replied, "Hi Johnny, the recipe has not changed for our original flavor." Meanwhile, UK Mumsnet is full of complaints. Pringles taste greasier and burned lately. I remember when they first came out, so thin, light and salty. New Pringles remind me of instant mashed potato powder formed into a Pringle shape. Tastes like pressed cardboard mash with a hint of a whisper of salt. The company says nothing changed. Hundreds of customers say it did. Who are you going to believe? And here's the really insidious part. Pringles was invented by a chemist assigned to solve one problem: chips breaking at the bottom of a bag. The uniform saddle shape, a mathematical hyperbolic paraboloid, was designed by supercomputer to maximize stackability and uniform bite sensation. The tube traps your hand inside. Once you pop, you can't stop isn't a slogan. It's a product specification. It's practically a warning label. They put the warning right there on the tube. They just formatted it as a boast. The product was designed from day one for compulsive consumption. The inventor, Frederick Bohr, was so consumed by his creation, he asked to be buried in a Pringles can when he passed. He was. And now you're eating it out of a tube that's a recycling nightmare. Cardboard body, foil inner lining, metal base, plastic lid. 4 completely different materials that can't be processed together. The Recycling Association called it a nightmare. It's virtually unrecyclable. You eat the Pringle in 2 seconds. The tube lasts a geological age. Pringles, not a crisp, not a potato, a fabricated snack in a cylinder. Number 7. Doritos. In October 2024, PepsiCo reformulated all 3 cool Doritos flavors sold in the UK. Cool Original, Tangy Cheese, Chili Heatwave, added more corn, changed the cooking process. Reduced salt 24%, fat 15%. The official spin, the crunchiest Doritos yet. Bolder crunch. Iconic taste, what customers actually said on Trustpilot UK. The new recipe is horrible. Tastes like cardboard with no flavor. Too thick and hard. It stabbed my gum. Awful. Harder and denser. I do not write food reviews normally. Will not buy again. Please bring the old recipe back. Will forget it ever happened. Ruined my week the moment I tasted the new kind. Why change a product to be blatantly less palatable and enjoyable to eat? Here's the real reason they changed it. Nothing to do with your health. 100% about UK government HFSS advertising regulations coming in from October 2025. Non-HFSS products can be advertised on TV before 9 p.m. and put at store entrances and checkout ends. HFSS products can't. Doritos changed their recipe so they could keep their TV ad slots and prime shelf space. The grocer noted brutally, the new recipes still contain MSG and disodium guanylate, so it's not even meaningfully healthier, just box ticking for ad regulations. They made your Doritos worse so they could keep showing you the advert, and PepsiCo claimed 91% of 600 consumers in an internal test approved the reformulation. Then hundreds of real UK customers rate it 1 star on Trustpilot. One review said, "You're going to go out of business selling us this." Who are these 600 people? Were they told what the product was? Were they comparing it to the original? This is the oldest trick in the food industry. Commission a test, frame the questions, get the result you need, then quote it forever. But let's talk about what's actually in a bag of Doritos. Over 30 ingredients, roughly 10 times more than simple tortilla chips, which are corn, oil, salt. What are all those extra ingredients? Maltodextrin, MSG, disodium inosinate, disodium guanylate, artificial colors. That triple hit of MSG plus disodium inosinate plus disodium guanylate, Those work synergistically. The combination is far more powerful than any one alone. This isn't flavoring, it's neurochemical manipulation, and it works. Doritos is sold as a sharing snack. The bag even says sharing. But here's what actually happens. You open it meaning to have a few, and 40 minutes later, you're holding an empty bag wondering where the evening went. That's not weakness, that's the MSG disodium guanylate combination doing exactly what it was engineered to do. And there's an ethical dimension too. UK Doritos uses palm olein. PepsiCo was directly accused of sourcing palm oil from sites linked to activities harming the habitats of orangutans, pygmy elephants, and Sumatran rhinos. The Good Shopping Guide gave Doritos a poor ethics rating. You're not just eating a worse crisp. The production of the flavoring spray is connected to practices destroying rainforest. Doritos. They fixed what wasn't broken, and broke it. Number 6. McCoys. A woman in Essex opened a bag of McCoys and found 12 crisps. She photographed them and posted it. The image got 7,800 likes and 500 comments. The entire bag, a large grab bag, had 12 crisps, including the broken bits at the bottom. McCoys is the third most complained about brand for shrinkflation in the UK. 37.5% of surveyed consumers identified them. Their slogan, the real McCoy. Except no imitations, 12 crisps isn't the real McCoy. 12 crisps is an imitation of a crisp. One commenter wrote, the large plastic bags for such a small amount is fraudulent. But let's talk about what made McCoys famous. Flame-grilled steak flavor. The imagery on every pack suggests industrial grill, smoke, heat, meat. What's actually in the seasoning? Lactose, salt, dried onion, dried yeast extract, flavor enhancers including monosodium glutamate and disodium guanylate, potassium chloride, flavoring, maltodextrin, dried skimmed milk, and citric acid. There's no flame, there's no grill. There's no steak, there's a liquid seasoning spray applied after industrial frying that contains MSG and a chemical synergist that amplifies it. The name is complete fiction. Legal, but fictional. And here's something genuinely clever that you've probably never thought about. Those ridges, they're not just about crunch. Ridges hold more oil, ridges hold more flavoring. Every groove in a McCoy's crisp is a tiny reservoir for fat and salt and synthetic seasoning spray. This isn't an accident. This is by design. McCoy's ridge cut was never about giving you a better crisp. The ridges are an engineering decision. Tiny reservoirs designed to hold more seasoning spray per bite, more artificial flavor coating, more of the synthetic flame-grilled steak paste per mouthful. They didn't make the crisp better. They made the delivery system more efficient. And let's address the elephant in the room. McCoy's was explicitly described by United Biscuits as the only overtly male-targeted crisp brand. Bigger bag, ridge cut. Don't deny the beast. The entire proposition is eating a McCoy's makes you somehow more masculine. In reality, you're eating engineered corn product with MSG seasoning spray, buying into a personality that was invented in a marketing meeting. The product isn't masculine, the branding is. You're paying for a persona, not a crisp. McCoy's. The real McCoy. 12 crisps. Number 5. Watsits. The bag says really cheesy in massive letters. Look at the ingredients. Dried cheese from milk, 6%. The rest of the cheese flavor is whey permeate, milk lactose, yeast extract, potassium chloride, lactic acid, and flavor enhancers. The orange color that your brain reads as deeply richly cheesy, paprika extract and annatto dye, applied specifically to trigger a visual cheese signal that the actual cheese content of the product can't deliver. You're being tricked by color into expecting a flavor intensity that isn't there. The finger-staining orange dust, that's not cheese, that's dye doing emotional work. But here's the real betrayal. Watsits were born in 1971. Golden wonder. Genuine British snack. You grew up loving them. In 2002, PepsiCo bought the brand, made it in the world's biggest crisp factory in Leicester, alongside everything else, kept the nostalgic packaging, and renamed the flagship flavor Really Cheesy, which it isn't, at 6%. They didn't buy a crisp, they bought your childhood memories, and they're renting them back to you with a 6% cheese filling. The nostalgic warmth in the branding belongs to a brand that no longer exists. You're paying PepsiCo shareholders for access to your own past. And Watsits shouts baked, not fried, as a health credential. But baking versus frying doesn't change that it's an ultra-processed corn puff with MSG synergists and 6% actual cheese. It doesn't make it food. It just makes it a different industrial process to produce the same engineered snack. The baked badge exists to give you permission to feel okay about eating it. That's its only job. A health halo that means almost nothing. And the product is primarily marketed at children, lunchboxes, school snacks, fun sizing, yet it's full of disodium 5' ribonucleotides, milk lactose, and potassium chloride. Ultra-processed food targeted straight at kids through fun packaging and cartoon branding. Watsits. Really cheesy. 6% cheese. Number 4. Monster Munch. The original Monster Munch launched in 1977 under the slogan, "The biggest snack pennies can buy." Bigness was the whole point. The crisps were enormous. Walkers took control in 1995 and within months shrank the crisps, replaced the large extruder with a smaller one, changed the shape, reduced the size. Fans went mad. In 2008, Walkers had to do a Mega Monster Munch nostalgia relaunch to acknowledge what they'd done, then quietly shrank them back again over time. Today's Monster Munch is measurably smaller than the 1977 original. A Trustpilot review from 2024 said, "Operative word monster. These things are the size of my thumbnail. Kids needed 2 bites. Now as a treat they're slamming 2 to 3 bags. You need 3 bags to get 1 original bag's worth of crisp. They turn down monsters into mice." But it's not just the size. Original Monster Munch launched with roast beef, pickled onion, saucy sizzling bacon, cheese and onion, giant prawn, and salt and vinegar. Walkers axed nearly everything and left 3 flavors. The ones that survived are the cheapest to manufacture. The ones fans loved most, giant prawn and saucy, are gone. No vote, no consultation. And the flavors that remain? Trustpilot complaints from 2023 and 2024 say Monster Munch pickled onion now has no flavor at all. It's terrible and a complete waste of money. Despite the sharp pickled onion taste, there's no real onion in it, just a blend of citric acid, yeast extract, and flavorings engineered to simulate the experience of pickled onion. The name is pure fiction. And here's something you might not know. Monster Munch is a baked corn snack, not a potato crisp. It lives in the crisp aisle. It's sold alongside crisps. It uses crisp-adjacent branding. But it's made of maize. The ingredient base was changed to 100% maize by Walkers in 1995, specifically because maize is cheaper than potato. You've been buying a corn snack shelved as a crisp for 30 years. Monster Munch still exists. But what exists now isn't Monster Munch. It's a tribute act. A shadow. Same name, same monsters on the packet, but Walkers shrank them, changed the recipe, switched the base ingredient, and quietly hoped you'd forget what the original felt like. Sometimes the saddest losses are the ones that pretend they're still here. Number 3. Quavers. Here's something most people don't realize. Quavers aren't made from potato, they're made from potato starch. There's a big difference. Potato starch is an industrial extract, what you get after removing everything nutritionally interesting from a potato. The fiber, the protein, the actual potato flavor. What remains is essentially a white powder used as a thickener and bulking agent. That's what Quavers are made from. They live in the crisp aisle, presenting themselves as potato snacks. They're potato-adjacent industrial starch puffs. And the cheese flavor, monosodium glutamate and disodium 5' ribonucleotide. The synergistic enhancer that makes MSG hit harder. The same double-hit chemical system used in instant noodles and fast food seasoning, yet Quavers are positioned as a lunchbox-safe lighter option for children. You're giving your kids the same flavor chemistry as a pot noodle in a crisp-shaped format. But here's a detail that really shows you how much these companies respect their customers. In November 2023, Walkers discontinued salt and vinegar Quavers with zero public announcement. A fan asked Walkers on Twitter if they were discontinued. The Walkers rep replied, "We're sorry to break it to you, Linda, but we're not making this flavor anymore." Linda said, "And with no notice, this is a sad day." A beloved product ended via a tweet addressed to Linda. That's it. That's the level of care. No press release, no final batch announcement, no opportunity to stock up on a flavor people loved. Just a social media manager telling Linda it's over. And the entire Quavers range uses the exact same MSG plus disodium ribonucleotide system found across Walker's entire snack portfolio. Every product, same chemical playbook. Quavers, a light snack, light on everything, including actual potato. Number 2. Walkers Baked. This deserves its own entry separate from regular Walkers because the con here is so specific. Walkers Baked was launched with one message: healthier, lower fat, better for you. What they didn't tell you is that fat is what makes a crisp enjoyable. The mouthfeel, the richness, the satisfaction. Remove the fat and you get what customers on Trustpilot actually report. Hard, bland, inedible, like cardboard, dry as sawdust. Because you're less satisfied, you eat more packets to compensate. The calorie saving evaporates. You've traded a good crisp for a bad experience and been sold it as a virtue. It's not a crisp. It's a photocopy of a crisp. Same shape, same colors on the packet, but all the life has been drained out of it. But here's the regulatory angle that really exposes what this is about. Walker's Baked is classified non-HFSS because of lower fat. This means it can be advertised freely on TV, placed at store entrances, offered on buy one get one free deals. The product exists, at least partly, as a regulatory workaround. It gives PepsiCo a healthy sub-brand they can merchandise freely, while the full fat range faces placement restrictions. It's not about your health, it's about their shelf space, and baked not fried changes the cooking method. It doesn't change that it's an ultra-processed product made in a mega factory full of the same artificial flavoring systems, engineered seasoning, and starch base as the fried version. The word baked is doing enormous emotional work it doesn't deserve. When a company creates a cleaner version of their own product, fewer additives, less salt, simpler ingredients, they're quietly admitting the original version was a problem. They built the problem. They're now selling you the solution and charging you for both, while keeping the original on shelves right next to it. Walker's Baked, the health halo that's actually just worse. Number 1. Golden Wonder. And this is where it all comes together. Golden Wonder was founded in 1947. By the 1960s, they were the UK's #1 crisp brand. They invented the cheese and onion flavour in 1962, one of the most important moments in British food history. They were genuinely proudly British. They created the colour conventions the whole industry followed. The colour scheme most British people still think is correct, green for cheese and onion, blue for salt and vinegar, is the Golden Wonder scheme. The nation's instinct is built around a brand that no longer exists at the top, and here's what destroyed them. In 1989, PepsiCo bought Walker's and pumped in tens of millions for Gary Lineker advertising and mass production infrastructure. Golden Wonder, a smaller, genuinely British company, couldn't compete. They went into administration in 2006. The brand that invented British crisp culture was driven into the ground by an American corporation's marketing budget. Not because their product was worse, because they couldn't afford Gary Lineker. Golden Wonder is now owned by Tato Group from Northern Ireland. It still exists. It's in supermarkets. The packaging uses nostalgic cues, but the product has the same artificial flavoring systems, the same MSG synergists, the same ultra-processing as every other brand. The heritage is on the outside, the industrial product is on the inside. You're buying a memory, and customers have noticed. Trustpilot reviews say Golden Wonder cheese and onion were my favorite crisps, but they changed the flavor some years ago, and they're awful now. Totally agree. They changed the flavor a good few years ago, and they taste awful now. Even the zombie-survived version of Golden Wonder has been degraded post-corporate buyout. The brand that built the foundations is now a nostalgic shell. And here's the final insult. People on eBay are paying £75 for an empty packet of Smith's crisps from the 1960s. Not for the crisps, for the packet. For the memory of what a crisp used to mean. That's how much has been lost. So let me bring this all together with the single most important fact in this entire video. In the UK crisp aisle, the appearance of choice is almost entirely an illusion. PepsiCo, the American corporation, owns Walker's, Doritos, Quavers, Watsits, Monster Munch, Walker's Max, Walker's Sensations, and Walker's French fries. Over 50% of all UK crisp sales. KP Snacks, owned by German company Intersnack, owns McCoys, Hula Hoops, Tyrrells, Skips, Knick Knacks, Space Raiders, Wheat Crunchies, and Discos. The number 2 player in the market. Between one American and one German corporation, they control the vast majority of everything on that wall of crisps. All those different colors, characters, flavors, brand personalities. 2 companies, 2 profit motives, 2 sets of cost-cutting decisions. When PepsiCo decides to slash salt by 47%, change oil suppliers, or make Doritos harder, that decision comes from New York, not Leicester, not from someone who grew up eating these crisps. From someone reading a spreadsheet, 3 companies pretending to be 30. That's your crisp aisle. But here's the good news. There are still a few brands that haven't been completely absorbed into the corporate machine. Brands that still make an actual crisp the way a crisp is supposed to be made. Potato, oil, salt. Let me tell you about them. First, Kettle Chips. Launched in the UK in 1988 with a genuine mission to make an honest crisp, and they've stuck to it. The plain versions are potato, sunflower oil, sea salt. 3 ingredients, that's it. No MSG, no flavor synergists, no synthetic additives in the core range. Genuinely artisan process cooked in small batches in large kettles, giving irregular thickness that creates real texture variation and crunch. Blind taste tests consistently show they outperform standard Walkers on texture. Higher quality potato varieties selected for flavor. No recipe scandals, no HFSS reformulation to game advertising rules. Just a crisp that tastes like a crisp. Now, they're pricier, and in some which taste tests supermarket-owned brands actually beat them on salt and vinegar intensity. So premium price doesn't always equal premium result, but for ingredient integrity and zero corporate betrayal, they're among the best on supermarket shelves. Second, Tyrrell's, founded in 2002 at Tyrrell's Court Farm in Herefordshire. Actually started on a farm, actually hand-cooked in small batches. British potatoes, skins left on, visible potato character in the crisp. The ingredient list on the core potato range is clean. But here's the warning. Tyrrell's was sold to US company Amplify Snack Brands in 2016, then acquired again by KP Snacks, which is owned by Intersnack Group. The farm-based founding story is now largely used as marketing heritage by a large snack corporation, and multiple customer reviews note the recipe has changed and quality has declined since the corporate takeovers. Thinner crisps, less potato flavor, canola oil replacing their original oil. Still, compared to Walkers or Pringles, the ingredient list is far cleaner on the core potato range. Tyrrell's is better than the big brands, but watch this space. Every genuine British brand that gets bought by a corporate ends up on the avoid list eventually. Tyrrell's might be next. Third, Piper's Crisps, founded in 2004 in Lincolnshire by a farmer who actually grew his own potatoes and decided to make crisps with them. Still family-owned, still independent. Uses named potato varieties. Atlas, Maris Piper. Something no mass-market brand does. Cooked in high oleic sunflower oil. Minimal ingredients list. No MSG, no artificial anything. Flavorings from real ingredients. Actual Lincolnshire cheese. Real sea salt. B Corp certified. Genuine ethical credentials. Not greenwashing. Won multiple Great Taste Awards. And here's the honest note. In a witch blind taste test, they came last of the premium brands on salt and vinegar. So if you want your face melted off, maybe not. But if you want to eat an actual crisp, made by people who respect what a crisp is, this is it. Piper's proves what a crisp can still be when it's made by someone who cares about the product instead of the quarterly earnings call. So there you have it. 9 brands to avoid, 3 that are still worth your money. And if this made you angry, if you're tired of being lied to by corporations who think you won't notice, do 2 things for me. First, smash that hype button again. Seriously, the more people who see this, the harder it becomes for these companies to keep getting away with it. You're not just supporting a video, you're pushing back. And second, leave a comment. Tell me what food we should investigate next, because I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep digging into what's really in your shopping basket and who's profiting from lying to you about it. So subscribe if you want more of this. Until next time, read the back of the packet, question the front of the packet, and protect your plate.